One must realize that Muslims push one name, Allah, when their Quran itself says the best of names belong to Allah. Quran 22:8 says in the Arabic, Allah la ilaha illa huwa lahul isma'ul husna. This translates Allah, there is no God but He. To Him belongs the most beautiful names. Allah has 99 plus 1 names that they accept and teach about. But I will give you the 100th name, in it is all power. It is pronounced Uwa. Spelled Huwa. If recited every day, it will open your heart, mind, and way to paradise. Don't misuse it. There are other names they accept, yet they don't mention it except in places like Quran 2-136 where it says, "Say ye, we believe in Allah, and the revelation given to us, and to Abraham." When they state they believe in Allah, the revelation given to Abraham, that would mean the God of Abraham, which is clear in Genesis 14:18 was called El. And then in Genesis 14:22 Abraham states, "I have lifted up mine hands unto the Lord." The Hebrew word for Lord there is Yahweh, and then it continues, the Most High God. And the Hebrew there is El. This deity called Yahweh as well as El is repeated throughout what the Quran 5:46 calls a Torah, which relates to the part of the quote in the Quran 2-136 as, and that given to Moses. So the name is repeated throughout the Bible, Numbers 24:16, Deuteronomy 32:8, 2 Samuel 22:14, Psalm 7:17, Isaiah 14:14, Lamentations 3:35, and Daniel 7:27. So a Muslim must accept these names as the names of Allah because they are of the Torah. In fact, there are many other names. One is found in Psalm 68:4 is simply Jah. And it states, "Sing unto God, sing praise to His name, extol Him that rideth upon the heavens by His name Jah, and rejoice before Him." Then Psalms 22:1 begins, my God, why have thou forsaken me?" and repeats the use of El by itself. We also have in the book of Genesis chapter 1, the name Elohim, and that's a plural. Then we have Adonai in Genesis 15:2 where Abraham again says, and I quote, "And Abraham said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eliezer of Damascus?" And in this quote we find that he repeats the word Yahweh, and then adds Adonai, another name being used for God. Then we have the use of the word the Almighty. And in Genesis 17:1 when Abraham was 99 years old it states, "The Lord, which is again Yahweh, appeared to Abraham and said unto him, I am the Almighty God, walk before me and be thou perfect." Here we get another name, the Almighty, which is El Shaddai, followed by El again. Then we have the everlasting in Genesis 21:33 where it states, "And Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba, and called on the name of the Lord the everlasting God." Here again you have Yahweh, and the name El Olam, followed by El again. Then in Genesis 16:13, Hagar, a prominent person in Islam being the wife of Abraham and the mother of Ishmael, Genesis 25:12-18, the father of the Arab nation according to them. This Hagar in Genesis 16:13 and I quote, "And she called the name of the Lord that spake unto her, Thou God seeth me, for she said, Have I also here looked after him that seeth me, wherefore the well was called Bir Lahi Roy." This name is El Roy, the seeing, which is found in Arabic as the root word Ra. Then if you turn to Judges 9:46 it reads and I quote, "And all the men of the tower of Shechem heard that, they enter into an hold of house of God beareth." In this quote, the name El beareth, El of the house. Exodus 31:13 calls Yahweh the Holy and I quote, "Speak thou unto the children of Israel saying, Verily my Sabbaths you shall keep, for it as a sign doth sanctify you." Under the word sanctify, you find the Hebrew word which is El Kadesh, meaning the holy. There is no difference between the names Elohim and Allahumma. One is just Hebrew, Elohim, and the other is the Arabic version of the same word Allahumma. The word Allah stems from the root Allaha. In Hebrew it is Elo. The word El or Al is an old demonstrative pronoun slightly pointing out a thing. Hebrew, El. Used in the sense of the Creator being the Almighty Creator. It literally means strong, power, might, one. Arabic, Al. This word means the. It is a definite article pointing out a certain thing. The name of Allah is made up of this definite article Al or the, and the pronoun Lahu, or for him. Eloah is a derivative of the word El. It comes from the ancient form of this word. This word has become obsolete in the Hebrew language and corresponds with the Arabic word Allaha or Allahi. Allahu or Allah, to worship, to adore, to swear. From this comes Eloah, which corresponds with Eloah. Allaha or Allahu, to worship, swear, adore. It is not coincidence that the Aramaic, Hebrew, word for Allaha, closely resembles the Arabic word Allaha. This is the further proof that Hebrew, Aramaic and Arabic are the same language. The third of the three Hebrew words for Allah is Elohim. Both El and Eloah are the same singular tense, but Elohim is in the plural tense. 3. Elohim, it is not an Arabic word, it is another one of those words that was grafted from Hebrew. In Arabic it is Allahumma. Allahumma is grammatically a plural word. It is made from two words Allah and Hum, which is the Arabic suffix for them. Elohim is the plural of the word Allahu. A definition given from a Hebrew dictionary entitled A Concise Statement of the Principles of Hebrew Grammar by Edward G. Mitchell states that Elohim is a plural tense of the word Allah, and it is used with gods and goddesses. Allahumma is the plural for the word Allah. The plural Hum is a representation of the Creator and his angelic beings, also Allah and all his attributes. The attribute called Asma. In a book entitled Arabic A Complete Course for Beginners by J.R. Smart, he states, Allah is not a name, but simply a contracted form of the Arabic word meaning the God. In his book he clearly states this is one of the most important technical terms of Islam which should be explained. And if you asked a Muslim to do so, they couldn't. What they are not telling you is that this word Elohim is not a modem or classical Arabic term, nor is it the Quraysh dialect. It is another one of those words that has been grafted from the Hebrew language. There are even foreign words in the Quran including Egyptian, Hebrew, Syriac, Akkadian, Greek, Ethiopian, Persian, Chaldean, Babylonian. I am saying all of this so that you will see that the Arabic language is not pure and has grafted words from the Hebrew, and that Millet Ibrahim came before Din al-Islam. And yes, the Torah came before the Quran. The Hebrews referred to their supreme deity by many names, and being that the Quran 2-130 orders you to follow the Millah of Abraham and that only a fool turns away from Abraham's religion, would mean that whatever the people of Abraham saw God as, Muslims should see him in the exact same way. However, the Muslim concept of God has changed and many of his names are ignored, an indirect contradiction to the words of the Quran. These pale Arabs know nothing. They care nothing for the truth and even less about you, the New Wapians in the West and around the world. They only seek control, wealth, and world influence, using Africa as a breadbasket through their historical conquest and enslavement of the continent, turning Africa north of the Sahara, and the rest of the so-called Middle East pale, through the incessant migrations, akin to swarms of locusts. This also is a link to the reason for circumcision. It leaves the head of the penis constantly exposed to friction. And being that the head of the penis is sensitive, the constant friction can lead to consistent semi-arousal and premature ejaculation. Muslims are known for their large families, and the terms lech and slimy are synonymous with so-called Middle Eastern males. The problem is, this consistent state of semi-arousal steers the mind towards lust. The mind works through association. Sights, sounds, smells, and situations can trigger memories and emotions. If an individual is in a constant state of sexual arousal, then everything is associated with sex, giving power to the lower forces of nature. This is exactly what their reptilian and Pleiadian overlords want. It leads to population explosion and a constant need for territorial expansion. Remember, they are the food of the gods and their mentality is that of livestock. But the reptilians cannot be subsided by just flesh alone, there is a spiritual element to the equation. The food has to be of the negative, aggressive, predatory side of nature. Like the snake eating its own tail, Ouroboros, Leviathan can only be subsided or nourished by itself or kind. They need, at all costs, to turn New Wapians to their way of thinking and doing. As the saying goes, once you go black, you never go back. We become the best at everything. If they can turn us into them, as they have, we become the best Muslims, the best Christians, the best Hebrews. Unfortunately for us, we also become the best of the worst. Our youth, imitating the Italians and Irish, have immersed themselves in this gangster, drug-dealing culture, laying waste the minds and spirits of whole generations across the US and abroad. We as a people are firmly on their overlords' radar as a potential food source and livestock. Crime, addiction, violence, poverty, perversion, self-hate and loathing are pandemic throughout the black community. The perfect atmosphere for these lower spiritual forces to thrive. We are nature's people living an unnatural way of life, even going as far as using surgery to alter our appearance. Our women, as well as many men, are addicted to straighteners, bleaching, weaves and the likes. Anything to be other than self and kind. Nubians and all other people should have never worn their hair any other way but natural. Natural meaning chemically free. Nubians don't seem to realize the power and strength that is in their hair. If you put a rubber band on your hair, it will unravel. If you do, the power of your hair frizzes out anyway. Listen, if you place cement over grass to make a sidewalk, in due time the grass will crack the cement and grass will come through. Mother Nature is pushing that grass through the cement. You are actually fighting with Mother Nature when you are messing with your hair. Your hair is your antennas and link to the sun. You and I both know that chemicals kill the hair as well as your self-image and stop bleaching your hair all kinds of colors other than natural. Once I take lye and other chemicals and put it in my hair, it dyes and flattens the hair. It takes the hair that would curl and it dies. You are living in the image of the beast that is spoken about in Revelation 14:9. You all are so busy ego tripping and saying how the Anunnaki are coming for you, yet you are not giving them any real reason to come. Many of us Nubians still want to live in the image of the beast and not those who they say is coming for them. Why? You still want to press your hair, wear tons of makeup, and dress other than yourself. Yes, Egyptians invented makeup but to look like themselves, not other than themselves. When you see pictures of the Anunnaki and then look at yourselves, it is obvious that it is not them who you are trying to emulate in their image and likeness. Genesis 1:26-27. You all have no idea just how important this message of not living in the image of the beast is. As we are moving closer to the sun cycle, it is of the utmost importance that you are in tune with the sun and the universe. The sun cycle is the time when Nubians are to retake their own kingdoms and empires. You cannot play black while looking white. It has to be in your soul. We Nuwapians refer to our hairstyle as fuzzy wuzzy, not afro. They simply took the word negro, which means black dead, from the Latin word negra meaning black, and added the O, which is the Greek letter omega meaning end, death, and called the hairstyle an afro. It is also an offshoot of the word Africa, which in Arabic is Afriqiya'a, which means to divide, to separate, division. There is no group of people on the continent of Africa who refer to themselves as Afro. Nor are there any people in Africa who name themselves after a hairstyle like Afro. When I say natural, as I stated earlier, I am talking about chemical-free hair, no additives, no preservatives. A fuzzy wuzzy or cultural hairstyles are preferred, however, you don't have to. For Nuwapians who have hollow hair, such as Native Americans, Orientals, and some Latinos, that is their natural hair, and I encourage them to wear their hair in their cultural styles. Hair is a crown to protect you if you don't have any chemicals damaging it. There is no such thing as split ends on Nuwabian hair. The hair at the ends of your head does not affect the root of your head. The healthiness of your hair depends on the root that it is growing from. Just as you can tell the kind of fruit a tree will bear, according to the seed that you plant. You lose a certain amount of hair every day when you comb it. This is because our hair has no anchor at the root. On the other hand, when you comb straight hair, it goes straight through the comb, because they have an anchor at the root. It goes through the comb easily because it's limp and lifeless. It is a myth for someone to tell you that you have to cut split ends in order for your hair to grow. Amorites came up with split ends because it makes their hair frizz on the ends and don't want their hair to look frizzy, or should I say fuzzy. All of the commercials that you see advertised on television, tell lies visually, see in magazines, and hear on the radios are not for Nubians and never have been. The only time there will be any products for us is when we research and find what works best for Nubians. Even with all of the knowledge that you Nubians have through the scrolls and tapes that Yaa-Nun put out, you still reject 9 ether. You can accept the doctrine and culture, however, when it comes to your personal being, that is literally where you say the buck stops here. In other words, all of that other stuff is all good, but my self-esteem is so low that I have to be other than myself. And I am talking about the women and the men. Sorry, but that mentality just won't work in Nuwapu. You cannot expect the Anunnaki who have 9 ether hair to love you when you don't even love yourself by walking around looking like 6 ether beings. Genetics are a total composure of generations of people. And when your mother and father conceived you, the genes tumble and produces you going 4 generations back. Let me explain how the hair grows from the follicle depending on what texture your hair is. 9 ether or kingly hair, the follicles of woolly hair is flat with concavity curled upward like a bowl that are directed up towards the surface. 8 ether or curly hair, the follicles of curly hair is curved with concavity curled upward like a bowl that are directed up toward the surface. 7 ether or wavy hair, the follicles of wavy hair are in a slanted position. The hair follicles may also be slightly curved. 6 ether or straight hair, the follicles of long straight hair are crosswise and the hairs emerge in a slanting direction on the surface of the skin. Then you have Native Americans and Orientals or Edomites who have hollow hair. The hair of the Edomites, however, is different from that of any other group of people, insofar as it is hollow. Their hair texture varied from straight to wavy to curly to a trait of hollow texture, which means, when you look at a cross-section of a strand of their hair under a microscope, you will see that it is circular in form. Which is extraterrestrial in origin, not 6 ether, 7 ether, 8 ether or 9 ether, but a texture all in its own. You can brush, comb, press, relax, perm, or what we refer to as stretch your hair so much that you can make your hair permanently straight. Because we are so busy trying to stretch our hair from its natural state, Baba Yaa-Nun coined the term stretchers for all those brothers and sisters who insist on stretching their hair out of its natural texture. Even years after you have stopped processing your hair, it can still remain straight because you have deadened the follicles. Listen to the trickery in the words. But the roots will grow woolly again. They call it relaxing the hair as if there is some type of tension in your hair. Perm is short for permanent when it should be called a temporary because your natural hair begins to grow back and you still have to re-perm it or get a touch-up. What they really mean by the word perm or permanent is that the spell that they are keeping you under is going to be permanent this time. They are doing it through self-hate. They must get rid of you. Your genes are too strong. If he doesn't, he will in time disappear. He is only 10% of the planet and people of color or melanite children are 90%. He must do something about this or he will disappear. There are 20,000 hairs on the Canaanite scalp and 90,000 on a Nuwaubian scalp which grow about 2 millimeters a week. Hair contains carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, and sulfur in varying amounts. These pores in your scalp are open and breathing. Every time you put grease and chemicals in your hair, you are clogging your pores. Nuwaubians only need to put natural light oil in their scalps once every 2 or 3 months. However, because you've piled so many chemicals into your hair, it now depends on it and for you to say, if I wear my hair in a fuzzy-wuzzy, so-called afro, every day it will break off. Do you know what that sounds like? Excuse me, but once your hair adjusts back to its natural state, the natural oils that were put there by the Elohim will flow through, and the same applies to your skin, which you smother with lotions, cremes, noximas, and the likes. For you to say that you can't wear your hair in a fuzzy-wuzzy is to say that you can't wear your hair in the way the gods intended for you to wear it natural. This is just another insult to the Anunnaki Elohim and another confirmation that you want to be in the image of the beast. This goes right down to your very soul, you just don't realize it. The choice is totally yours. I am here just to give you the facts. It is an insult to the Anunnaki for you to say come save us and look other than them. If your physical appearance is that of a 6 ether being, then your very heart and soul is that of a 6 ether being. And what you feel about yourself radiates from the inside outward. For nearly 400 prophetic years, you have been congressing instead of progressing, caught between states of recession, withdrawal, and depression, decline. Listen Nuwaubians, time has really run out. Take this as one of the many warnings that Dr. Malachi Z. York has given you about living in the image of beast. The Amorites' hair is dead, their hair doesn't have any life. It does not have the same energy flow that 9 ether has. The sun does nothing for them other than burns them. A piece of ivory burns, and that is the Canaanite scalps. The best thing you can do is get a skinhead to shave all of their hair off, because when the sun beams down on their scalp it burns them and gets so hot you can fry an egg on it. This is why Canaanites came up with hats and all types of headdresses, and wigs, and then made you start wearing them, but obviously for a different reason. Canaanites even used to call themselves red people with wigs. However, some being in the universe who cares about you Nuwaubians put dark layers of skin on your head, so when the sun beams down on your skull the layers called melanin protects it. Melanin was a gift from the Anunnaki Elohim. There is only 3/4 scalp or space between the scalp and the skull. The original Africans did not wear head coverings. Bush people don't wear it. The original Sudanese who were from the Falashas, the Hangan Dawa, didn't wear it. That came in with the Amorites who invaded the continent and brought in their religion. Some of the people such as the Sudanese, Ethiopians, Eritreans, Moroccans, etc., that you see there now are generations of mixtures with Arabs, Greeks, and Turks. There are some tribes that remain pure in blood such as the Bushmen of the Congo, and some Nigerians. Yet, they are being invaded also. So why don't we need oils on skin? For the exact same reason you don't need it on your scalp. Your skin needs to breathe and you are blocking your pores. Nuwaubians have natural oils in their skins, and when there is hot weather you see those oils come out. You use oils to cover up what you all call ash. Nuwaubians also claim that they will get dandruff if they don't oil their scalps. Dandruff is just another form of leprosy. In Leviticus chapter 13 it describes leprosy called today Hansen's disease, named after the Norwegian physician, Gerhard H. Hansen. We don't have flaky skin called dandruff. According to the American Heritage Dictionary, dandruff is defined as dandruff, a scaly scurf formed on and shed from the scalp, sometimes caused by seborrhea. Dond, of unknown origin, and dialectal herf, scurf, from Old Norse rufa, crust, scab. Now, let's dispel 2 myths. 1. The split ends theory is totally ridiculous. The hair is protein, and when you die, the hair continues to grow. Nor does it get to a certain length and then stops growing. 2. Your hair doesn't break off when you wear it naturally every day. All of the so-called beauty products that are on the market are not for Nuwaubians. What is even more of an insult is this herbal perm that they are trying to get people to buy. They trap you by using the word herbal, but with all of the chemicals inside of the perm to make your hair straight, the purpose of the herbs get lost. This is an insult to people's intelligence. Yet, many Nuwaubians can't see this.